the service is the inspirational lecture. Today, we have doing our lecture for us is Reverend Kathy Quik. She is a student and an ordained minister of Swami Muktananda since 1979. She's taught yoga and philosophy and meditation over the past 30 years from this discipline, hails from New York, and is going to speak today on how to be in the world and not of it, as taught in the Bhagavad Gita. Please welcome Reverend Kathy Quik.
Okay, very good. So thank you for asking me to speak, Reverend Atkins. It's a great honor, and I appreciate these few minutes that I've been afforded to share some of the ideas and thoughts that are important to me. We've heard many times as we read the Bible, we're given the message, be in the world but not of it. But I always find that it stops there. Okay, be in the world but not of it. But how are we supposed to do that? How am I supposed to do that? It's not easy. Over the years, I found myself attracted to the Bhagavad Gita. And I found that it is a manual, a how-to manual of how to be in the world and not of it. And so I thought that I would talk a little bit about that today, particularly one verse with a short second verse. And this is from the second chapter, which is basically a summary of the entire Gita, and it would be verse 47. Which says, thy right is to work only, but never to its fruits. Let not the fruit of action be thy motive, nor let attachment be to inaction. So this one verse has 3 parts, and I'd like to break each part down and discuss each part. This one verse is one of the most often quoted verses of the Gita, and it reveals the secret of how to live in the world and not be of it. And what it's saying is that we have to renounce. We have to renounce the desire for the fruit, or the desire for the result of whatever it is we're doing. We in the West feel if we perform an action or a service for someone else, we are owed. I did this, now you owe me. You owe me. Whether you owe me thanks, whether you owe me recognition, whether you owe me a paycheck, whatever it may be, we have this concept that we are owed something. And this is our trip up. If we can renounce any idea that anybody owes us anything, but that we are simply here to serve. Our right, as it says, the right is to work, but never to its fruits. We have the right to perform action. We have the right to get an education, to find a job. We're living in a free society. We have the right to move about freely. We have a right to volunteer our time. We have all these rights. But what the Bhagavad Gita is saying It is only the right to work. You do not have any rights to the fruit. All results, all reaction, all praise, all recognition, and all blame belong to the Lord. He gets all recognition for any work we perform. And He will give whatever the reward He deems. What does this do? This attitude of accepting that we only have the right to work, but not to its fruits. First of all, when does the fruit of an action occur? The fruit of an action occurs in the future. It doesn't happen in the now. So if we are focusing our mind upon the fruit, we are already projecting into the future. Our mind is not focused on what it is we're doing. So number one, it frees the mind from worry and anxiety over the success or the failure of a project. Therefore, any work we perform, we can perform in the spirit of an offering. I'm just here to do the very best job I can, and I'm not going to worry if people like me, if people don't like me, if people approve, or if this project is successful. I will do my best, but there are too many parameters to even know what will be the outcome of this. B, freed from worry and anxiety over a future outcome, one can work with our focus and awareness in the present moment, the moment we call the now, which leads to skillful action. When we can focus the mind like a laser on the task at hand, whether it's washing the dishes, whether it's whatever it may be, the mind is clear, the mind is sharp. It is not thinking about the past, it is not worrying about the future. With that focus, we have to be skillful. When we do a job, or when others do a job, and let's say they mess up, you can tell. What is the first thing we say? Where was your mind? Where was your mind? What you just did makes no sense, right? And then we know it's something within this person's mind that was not present. So if we have this understanding, we focus in on the present, it leads to skillful action, which in and of itself almost assures success in whatever we do. C, skillful action is in fact the definition of yoga. If you go to any yogic scripture, they'll say, what is the definition of yoga? One of the definitions is skill in action. The word yoga itself means union, but another definition commonly used is skill in action. Therefore, if all of these points come together, we are in the world, doing our work, performing our dharma or duty, but we are not of it because we have surrendered all work, all praise, all blame to Him. One way for us to reorient our thinking that anybody owes us or that we are entitled is to take a few minutes each day before we leave the house and to sit quietly and turn within. We can remind ourselves that my right is to work only. My right is to perform my duty to the best of my ability. I do not have the right to the income, to the outcome, to the fruits. I am not owed anything by anyone. I offer my work in service to the Lord, but the Lord determines the results. And with this attitude and understanding, our work must succeed, as the fruit or the result is not different from the action. But in working without fear, without anxiety, with our mind focused like a laser in the now, on the task at hand, our actions, our plans, and our projects will succeed. Part 2 of that verse. Let not the fruit of action be thy motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. What Krishna is saying here in the Bhagavad Gita, let not the fruit of action be thy motive. So what should the motive be if it's not the end result? What he's teaching us is, take the motive of money, of power, of prestige, of recognition out of the equation. Let your motive be service, devotion, love, and in this way, again, coming not from the motive of worldly desires, but from the motive of service. Again, we are in the world performing our action, but we're not of it. And the last part is, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. So while the motive may not be for monetary reward, recognition, name, fame, praise, he's saying, but that's not an excuse to cut corners. That's not an excuse to not give 110%. You may not be attached to the fruit, but at the same time, do not be attached to inaction, to laziness. Many may not be aware that Beethoven was a serious student of the Gita. He kept a journal that was found after his death, and he had written a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. And the quote was, "Blessed is he who has overcome all passions and then proceeds energetically to perform his duties under all circumstances, careless of success." And then the personal comment that he wrote after that quote was, "Let the motive lie in the deed, not in the outcome. Do not let your life pass in inactivity. Be industrious, do your duty, banish all thoughts as to results." Beethoven was one of the greatest composers to have ever lived. He offered his genius to the world, often, especially toward the end of his life, not having enough to even meet his own needs. Nonetheless, giving all he had in service to the divine. I'd like to read you something that Swami Muktananda wrote, entitled, "God is the Real Actor." He said, "To think, I have done this, I will do that, is one of the most potent delusions in which a man is entangled. In fact, it is God who does everything. When Lord Krishna was driving Arjuna's chariot, he held all the power. Even if Arjuna shot an arrow in the wrong direction, it would hit the target. Arjuna thought he was doing it. He didn't realize that all the time It was Krishna's power that was doing everything. After the great war had ended and Krishna left the chariot, Arjuna was totally helpless without him. We think we are the agents of action, but the fact is that it is some other power that makes everything happen. Out of pride, each of us thinks, it is I who am doing everything around here, whereas it is the Lord who is the real doer. So give up your attachment to desire, greed, delusion, anger, and pride. These passions have treated you in the most miserable manner. They have put you in their pocket. Try to escape their tyranny. Try to know your true inner self. Whatever work is going on in the world, in reality, is the work of God. If one understands this, one can perform any work as an offering. To cooperate selflessly in God's work is real yagna, real sacrifice. And we complete this teaching with a short next verse, verse 48, where Krishna says, perform action, abandoning attachment, being steadfast in yoga, balanced in success and in failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. Perform action, abandoning attachment. Act we must, but we do so without attachment to the outcome. The outcome belongs to the Lord. Balanced in success and in failure. Our reward for abandoning attachment to outcome will be a calm and balanced mind, which is unshakable in success or in failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. If we can perform action abandoning attachment, resulting in evenness of mind, we will be in the state called yoga. The word yoga means union, union with the divine. Therefore, as we go about our daily tasks with evenness of mind, we will automatically be in the state of yoga, in the state of meditation. Not for 20 minutes, not for 40 minutes, but throughout the whole day. Swami Nityananda of Shanti Mandir, who had come to visit us in July, he tells us that meditation is not an act one performs for 20 minutes or 45 minutes or for 2 hours a day, but the goal of meditation is to be in that state of evenness of mind 24 hours a day. That is true meditation. Not the little exercise that we do a few minutes. The point of meditation is to have that evenness of mind throughout the day, to be in that yoga, to be in that union. And I will leave you with a short poem written by Milarepa, one of Tibet's most famous yogis and poets, who lived approximately 1,000 years ago. He wrote, "If you lose all differentiation between yourselves and others, fit to serve others you will be. And when in serving others you win success, then shall you meet with me," capital M, the Lord. "And in finding me, you shall attain Buddha." Thank you very much. Om, Nama, she Sanskrit words. Om is the primordial sound of the universe. Nama, I bow to or I honor. Shivaya, that divine consciousness that exists within me, that exists within me, that exists all around us. So when you're ready, you can join me.
Talk a little louder.
Okay, I'll chant that.